Beaming out loud from Sister Al's Radio in Hillsborough, Carriacou, 92.9. And if you're in the diaspora, you can also pick up our signal from 94.9 on We Noise Radio, Brooklyn, New York. We are also live on the World Wide Web. We are on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. And you can also find us on WhatsApp. You can give us a call. If you want to participate in the conversation, locally it's 440-7377, 440-7377. And if you are calling from the diaspora, if you're out there and you want to make a contribution, you want to ask a question, you want to get in on the conversation, it is 347-329-3101. 347-329-3101. As we say every day, we aim to bring you facts, we aim to bring you the reality, we aim to speak to you about the happenings, current issues, past issues to an extent, sometimes we have to, but most important, factual issues that can be fact-checked, so you can rely on us on Hard Talk. Today we have with us a very important guest, someone who will be talking to us on some issues as it relates to the Ministry of Youth Development. But before we get into that, it is also a very special day. It's Thursday. Yes, I think it remains Thursday. It is the 12th day of October, and we are in the year 2020. But there is something, November. Am I forgetting? Or I probably don't want the year to end so quickly. No. I know somebody was going to correct me instantly. It is the 12th day of November. Thursday, November 12th. We can't forget that day because it was the day, not the year, but the day when a bright star was born in Grenada. The day when the master thought it was best to bring to us someone who has spent the major part of his life trying to do good for Grenada and its people. While there are many who will not accept that as being factual, it is a matter for them to deal with. But today I want to join with the many other people in Grenada and around the world, thousands of us, to wish Dr. Kit Mitchell, the Prime Minister of Grenada and the leader of the new National Party, a very happy birthday. And those greetings are not just coming from me, the one who is speaking, Roland Bowler, but it is a message and a greeting from the entire NNP population, from the staff, management and staff of the central office, from those of us who are associated with Hard Talk, from many constituents, and I know there were a couple of people from the constituency where I'm from, St. Andrews Northeast, who said to me, make sure that you mention today that Northeast is wishing Dr. Mitchell a really happy birthday. So Dr. Mitchell, whatever you're doing, wherever you are now, we just want to hope that your day will be peaceful, that whatever celebrations you may be engaged in will be enjoyable. And most importantly, that God will continue to grant you good health, strength so that you can continue to lead your people and lead them properly. We are not yet opening up the lines, but there's someone that is desperate. I don't know what they want to say, so let's just take that. If we still have them, no, we might have already lost the call. So we are sorry about that caller, but we were just in the introductory stage and we weren't ready. We'll open up the lines sometime a little later on because the topic today is not about the birthday boy, but we just wanted to get that out of the way. Wishing him the very best. Quickly though, I want to remind people that we did announce on Monday the schedule for fogging in the St. George's area, and today being Thursday the 12th, that team from 4 p.m. this afternoon will be in the Cafe Springs area, and then tomorrow Friday 13th November from 4 p.m. likewise they will be in the Springs and Dixie area. So they have touched the other areas, I hope, for the first 3 days of this week, but they will continue Cafe Springs this afternoon and tomorrow afternoon, God's willing, Springs and Dixie. So, prepare. If you are asthmatic or you have some other respiratory problem that you need to either get out of the area for a moment or, be locked inside, but as they go around and fog to help control and take care of the Aedes aegypti mosquito, the one that is causing the dengue fever and is providing a bit of a bother for us at this moment. But also remember that we have a personal responsibility, each one of us, to make sure that our surroundings are kept very sanitized, that we do not allow utensils that can contain water and so to lie around, so that these mosquitoes can have more places to breed. The less places they have, the quicker we will get rid of their population. So let's do our part. Let's take responsibility for our health and for our lives, and assist the ministry and the government in ensuring that we eradicate or significantly reduce the Aedes aegypti population in our country. So as I've said before, we have a very, very special guest, and no stranger to this program or to radio, as a matter of fact. It's a young man who has been around in the youth division for quite a while and has very in-depth knowledge of a lot of the activities that are taking place within the Department of Youth. And I will now give him that opportunity to introduce himself. I'm not going to call a name. He's going to introduce himself. He's going to tell you, the listeners, who he is, and maybe while you're at it, may tell us how many years now you have been associated with the Ministry of Youth. So I know, allow our guest who is here with us to share some very relevant information, to take the mic and introduce himself.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Bula, and thank you to HARDTALK for having me this morning. And good morning to your listeners, those listening on radio, television, and online. And first of all, I want to join you in extending birthday greetings to the Prime Minister and Lead Minister for Youth Development, Honorable Keith Mitchell, Prime Minister. My name is Johnny Kelly. I'm a project officer in the Division of Youth Development. I'm responsible for the Youth Rehabilitation, Resilience, and Diversion Unit. And what that means, I deal with youth in conflict with the law, youth at risk, and youth who have been incarcerated. I've been in the ministry for the past combined years, I'll say 10 years combined, but the last 7 years I've been dealing with mostly with youth at risk and youth in conflict with the law.
Great. So, you see what I'm telling you when I say it's a gentleman who is no stranger, one, to radio or media, but secondly has been around, 10 years experience, 7 years straight working with youth in conflict. So, Mr. Callis, let's get right into it. Youth in conflict. I get the impression when we say youth in conflict, and I hope that is the similar impression that the listening public has. You're talking specific now of young people who have had issues one way or the other, whether it is with the law, whether it is in school, because we have some children that display deviant behavior in school, or maybe even at home with the parents. And so I imagine all those will fit into and fall under your watch in terms of when you say youth in conflict.
Yes, at the ministry level, we define youth as anyone between the age of 18 to 35. And most times our programs and projects are designed for persons within that age. From time to time, we might go below that, as low as 16 years, but most of our programs are 18 to 35. So you are correct. We are speaking to youth who have been in conflict with the law at the court level. And most times are youth who are not in conflict with the law, but are displaying tendencies that would lead them to getting into the court system. So youth on the block, single parent, mothers at home, youth who are who are not engaged fully. And most of our programs under this unit deals with youth who need an opportunity to develop their skills, etc. And youth in conflict with the law and youth rehabilitation speaks to projects at Her Majesty's Prison. We have a project they call Project Reach that deals specifically with providing opportunities for youth within the age of 18 to 35 who are incarcerated, opportunities to develop themselves, their competency in various skills to become worthwhile members of society once released. So you are correct.
Okay. Having mentioned Her Majesty's Prison, it is a place that sometimes we never pay much attention to. And when I say we, I'm talking citizenry in general, until we either have a family member, a relative, or we ourselves get very close to probably being sent to that place from something that may have happened to us. What kind of numbers are we looking at, or what? Tell us, in terms of the numbers you have dealt with, or an average amount over the last so many years that this program has been running at Her Majesty's Prison.
Good. Specific to Project Reach, as I mentioned, it deals with youth at Her Majesty's Prison. And I'm speaking here specifically to young men. And by no design is a program biased towards male, but by virtue of the prison population, there are more males than females. The last time I checked was 400 and something males to about 4 females. So most of our projects at the prison deal specifically with males. And over the last 5 years, when Project Reach started, we have engaged close to 125 inmates at Her Majesty's Prison. And the project provides life skills training, counseling, performing arts, sports training, etc. to the participants of Project Reach. And I'm happy to say that since the project was incepted since the project started many years ago, our recidivism rate, that is the rate of people returning to prison, has been under 5%. So the program has been successful. Over the 125 or more persons we have engaged over the years, we have less than 6 persons returning to prison after the project. So the project has been successful, we are proud to say, and we're looking to continue that project.
Right. Well, that looking at it that way, you can say success. But do you have any idea, or has there ever been any research into what the return rate was prior to the program? I mean, before Project Reach had gone into Her Majesty's Prison and tried to deal with and provide alternatives for these youngsters, what kind of percentage of those young people were repeaters to the prison? Do you have any idea at all?
No, I don't have raw data, but I can tell you before Project Reach, which focuses specifically on skills training, the prison had projects that dealt with rehabilitation and education, etc., that provided CXC to inmates. And what they found is an inmate would leave the prison with 2-3 CXC, and when they come outside, they're unable to compete with the students leaving school with 10 and 12 CXCs. And that's why there was a movement to move from CXC at Her Majesty's Prison and focus heavily on skills training. So when the inmates leave the prison, they have a skill as opposed to having 2 or 3 CXC. And that has proven to work, and that has led to the low recidivism rate of persons both in the learning program at Her Majesty's Prison and Project Reach.
So, well, that's very good, and commendation to yourself and, of course, the Ministry of Youth, because when we can save people from being incarcerated or returning to incarceration, it is always a good thing. Now, that was specific to the prison, but I want to believe that your outreach and rehabilitation program touches many other places in Grenada and reaches out to youths in different strata of society. So what else do you do, Mr. Callis, or what else does the Ministry of Youth offer as it relates to rehabilitation and dealing with youths who may be in conflict with the law?
Great question. In 2016, the United Nations Development Program wanted to sponsor a program, and Mr. Earl Williams was the project officer at that time. And they came up with a project called Project Fly, Fostering Level-Headed Youth. Project Fly is a community engagement project. Unlike the MANI program or the Empower program, which are national programs, Project Fly is a program specific to a community. And since 2016, we have had almost 11 cohorts of Project Fly. In 2020, we have a cohort in Willis, in St. George, and Windward in Carriacou. Now in Willis, they would have completed 2 months of life skills training. We had 44 persons between the ages of 16 to 30. At Willis, they would have completed 2 months of life skills at the Willis Community Center. And we have the persons in Windward would have completed 2 months life skills at the Dover Government School. Both cohorts have now completed their life skills and moved on to skills training. So the cohort at Willis, we have persons placed at Nulo, we have at TAMCC, we have at the Grenville Home Economic Center, and we have at CDAT. They're doing skills in general electrical, plumbing, auto mechanics, farming, food and beverage, commercial food, sewing, geriatric care. A host of skills are being taught at these institutions, and we have 44 persons from Willis currently employed. In Carriacou, we had 30 persons. Those persons have moved on to TAMCC. Some are on the job, getting apprenticeship training, and some are at the Hillsborough Secondary School doing commercial food. So what the project seeks to do is to develop the competency, the vocational skills, and the whole human capacity of these participants to enable them to be able to be good citizens, men and women in society. And of course, because they're from one community, it develops the human resource capital of those communities. So by the end of next year, we can look towards having plumbers, electricians, cooks, chefs, etc. coming from Willis because of this 44 persons who are engaged in that community. Likewise in Carriacou, we can look forward to the same. So Project FLY focuses on developing the human resource capital of the communities and developing the people within that communities and affecting families, because once these young people are able to are educated, they now have a skill, they can find sustainable employment, they can help their families and help improve the whole socioeconomic condition of the entire community and by extension Grenada.
Right. Very, very, very good, Mr. Callis. But I just want to ask whether or not these people at the end, and this training program goes on for how many months?
It will end in July. So it started in June 2020.
So it's about a year, 12 months.
Yes, about a year.
A 12-month cycle. Mm-hmm. Do these people finally get a certificate? Because I know there's a lot of talk about CVQ and NVQ and what have you. People who participate in the FLY project, fostering level-headed youth, do they get a certification at the end that they can use to demonstrate or to say as proof that I have been through a 1-year training course and I've been qualified as a plumber, as an electrician, as a farmer, whatever field they're in?
Definitely. Persons at TAMCC, most are placed at TAMCC St. Patrick. They would get a level 2 technical diploma from TAMCC, at Nulo the same, and persons doing the food and beverage, both in Grenada, Carriacou, would get a CVQ level 2. The mandate of the ministry is to ensure that everyone who participates in the projects and programs of the ministry gets some sort of certificate, be it one that is provided by the institution where they're trained, or a CVQ and NVQ.
Right. Over the years, and again, I don't know if you have that in your head, you have been engaged in the FLY project. Is there a quantum, is there a number, is there a figure that you can probably speak to say, well, over the last 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, we have trained approximately X amount? Because this is more community driven from what you're saying. You pick a specific community, you work with the people in that community. So for example, now Willis has 44 who have started, Carriacou Pedimatic, some 30 something. So we're looking at almost about 80 persons there. But is there a number that you can quote over the years that you have been able to train and certify as a result of the FLY project?
Since the project started in 2016 to now, I'll say we are in the range of 280 to 300 persons have been part of it.
Have been part of it. So
yes.
Closer to 300 persons.
Yes.
Plus another 100 plus at Her Majesty's Prison. So we're looking overall in 2016 to present, close to 400 people having gone through that project. What kind of impact are you seeing as a result? Because it is one thing to carry people 12 months through a program, try to impart knowledge to them, because you're doing what you can. That is what the ministry can do, yes? Take you to a classroom setting or bring you on a job site, explain to you, as you have mentioned, the soft skills, getting people to understand conflict resolution and things like that. But are you clearly seeing serious impact is this project Fly, as we call it, having a very positive impact on the communities that you have been in and on the nation at large?
Definitely. I see a lot. I see young people who are part of Project Fly, past Flies, actively involved in the community, and they have found sustainable employment and living good lives. For the cohorts we have now at Willis, I can say that when they started Life Skills, so the time Life Skills completed, there was a huge change. The behavior, the outlook, everything changed about them. Of course, they're a work in progress. You can't change people, their attitudes and mentality over 1 month. But there was a huge change. And these projects, whenever you implement them at the community level, there's an appreciation from the community. For example, I'll go to the community and I'll speak to people and they say, look, this guy or this girl, look how she changed, look how he changed. Dressing properly, he's no longer on the block, he's so active. The day that started the skills training, everyone was dressed in their uniform, going TAMCC, going YULO. I mean, imagine 44 young people that you saw on the block, at home, well-dressed, going to school. I mean, people felt really good in the community seeing that. And that's the impact that you have with these community projects.
Great. A lot of emphasis on the block, and I don't want us, and we'll get into that a little later, to sound as though being on the block is always a bad thing. Bad things do happen sometimes when you're on the block, but I personally don't feel the block scenario is always that bad. You mentioned young ladies, and it was my intent, the next question to ask, what numbers, and I would imagine that there are far more young men, the male side, because generally the male figures, as we know it in our society, seem to be those who exhibit more deviant behavior than the female. Or maybe their behavior is more exposed, because I don't have any kind of data to prove that males are more deviant, but maybe what they do are more exposed than probably what the female do. But in terms of ratio, do you actually have females participating, and give us an idea what kind of ratio? Is it 9-1, 10-1, 15-1 in favor of the males as it relates to people who participate in those kind of programs?
Interestingly, we have, and probably this is across every program of the ministry and other programs outside of the ministry, we have more females than male. So in these projects, we have probably 7-3.
7-3 in favor of females. Specific to the Fly program as well?
Specific to the Fly program as well.
Interesting.
Yes.
Very interesting. Without you saying that now, I mean, I know and I've heard and having been involved with and speaking to people who are involved more with the Imani, which is the flagship program of the ministry, the ratio has always been more female to male in the Imani. I always thought that projects like Fly and even at Her Majesty's Prison Project Reach, where you have a greater concentration of males than females, I just automatically imagine, and I presume that may have been the similar case with a lot of our listeners, that Project Fly would have in it more males than females. But it's interesting to hear you say the ratio might be 70% females, 30% males. Interesting. And do you think, Mr. Callis, that is because our male population, or the younger male people, are just not interested, or probably a little more shy than the ladies are, or are not being pushed and encouraged as much as the young ladies? What may be the reason for seeing more ladies coming forward, even for the Project Fly thing that you all are doing, than men?
Well, there's a number of reasons, but one of the main reasons that I've found is that they are more shy. And two things: they are more shy, and they tend to see coming to a class and coming to training as not being macho or not being manly, and it's probably a stigma and a school of thought that we have to get them to change. So they're shy. And what I've found is you go to the community, you register people, you start the project, and then after the project starts, you'll find young men coming to you on the side to speak to you personally, away from people asking to join the program. So a lot of young men, they see you doing registration and so on, and they wouldn't come. They'll sit, they'll look at you, they'll probably tease those, I've experienced that. They'll tease those who are coming to do the project. And when those people leave and you're alone, they come to you and say, boss, I wanna sign up for the program, but I don't want people to know, and those kind of things. So I think we are trying hard. We are trying very hard to get young men. That is why the ministry sort of has a quasi mandate. It's not a mandate per se on paper, but we try to engage male as much as possible in programs because we understand the situation, and most of them don't really come forward. Whenever you see a young man, and it's a school of thought in the ministry, whenever you see a young man come to you, be it at the ministry or in the community, and ask to join a program, he's genuinely and really interested in changing. And those we try to engage. So I think that's the main reason.
And I would imagine that the success rate of those who come forward and make the approach might be much higher than those whom you have to actually pull out of the comfort zone.
Definitely, all the time.
Right. But do you think, too, Mr. Carlis, maybe over the years you've been involved, you've been part of this project, the approach of the ministry, how we try to recruit these people? Do you think it probably needs a little tweaking, doing it a little different? Because as you've mentioned and give reason to believe that sometimes these young men, they may be shy, one, and in some other instances, they tend to project that it is not the mature thing to come forward. It just brought a thought to mind, as you mentioned that. Maybe some of the young ladies that are much more enthusiastic about joining the program can be used to assist to get them to come. And when I say that, I hope people doesn't take it in the wrong sense. But I think ladies have their place, and they have a role to play, because sometimes men tend to follow the dictates. As manly as we look and as mature as we want to project ourselves to be, many of us do actually follow the dictates of the female figure in our lives.
Yeah, definitely. And in terms of recruitment, we tested something with the Willis community, in that the youth officers spent almost 2 weeks on the ground. So they went around Willis and they did a house-to-house survey to find out what were the issues in the community, particularly among youth. And that was all done and geared towards designing the life skills program. So the community would have spoken, they would have told the officers what the issues were and what the issues they want to see addressed, things like the playing field, the community center need to be utilized more. And during that time, we did registration. So apart from doing the survey, one group did the survey, one group did the registration. So they would have they went to every shop, they went to every corner, every block, and they met young people. And that is how we ended up with 44. I must mention that the project was supposed to have 30 persons. But because of the interest in the Willis community, the minister and the prime minister agreed that we can add the additional 12, the additional 14, and made it 44. That is how we ended up with 44 people in Willis. But we did, and you are correct, there's a lot of females who push their brothers. Yes. In some cases, their boyfriend, their significant other, their close friends to join the program. So women do have an influence on the young men joining the program.
Always had, eh? From time memorial.
Very much so.
I don't want to be biblical, but even if we go right back there, from the early days of Adam and Eve. They always had. And will remain in that position.
Definitely.
No hard feelings to our females out there. We love you dearly. And play your role, do your part. Maybe even some of you need to do more than you're doing to help to transform, as Johnny rightly said, your significant other.
Yeah, they do have an effect.
Yes, and I like that. Any other program fitting in, not not broadly now the ministry, but for your specific division outside of Reach and Fly?
Yeah, I must speak to Project ACE. That is actively committed and empowered. Project ACE is really the same as Project Fly, but that one was funded by the Caribbean Development Bank, and they wanted their own name. So that's the difference. They wanted their own brand.
It's a similar program, but just a different branding.
The same, but it's just a different branding. And that one is in the community of Mount Horn.
Right.
Now that project ended in January 2020, but there are still some components. So it was very similar. We did live skills at the Mount Horn Community Center. Then some moved to TAMCC. Then some moved to Andrew Belfont Construction Training. And they graduated last year, December. Now, there's an internship component that they have to complete for 3 months, which they just started. And the reason why we just started is because of COVID.
Right.
Because COVID came around March, we had the lockdown and all that. We had to take some time. Then the hospitality people, we had a little issue with getting placement location. Because of the COVID protocols, restaurants couldn't take a lot of people. So we just found placements for them. And also CDB funded 3 infrastructural projects on the Project ACE for the community of Mount Horn. So the participants came together sometime last year and they spent a day at the youth center and they conceptualized the projects that they wanted for the community, and these projects are going to start probably next week or week after. That is, they are building a kids playground at the front of the community center. They're building a bus shed close to the playing field in Mount Horn, and they're erecting street signs in and around the community of Mount Horn. Now, that is supposed to be a community project for all participants. However, we are using it as the internship for the construction participants. So they're going to build the community projects as part of the internship. The lead person on that is Mr. Andrew Belfont, who was the person that coordinated the training with them. So he's going to lead the project, and the participants are going to build the kids' playground, the bus shed, and the street signs in Mount Horn. So the community of Mount Horn can look forward to that starting in the next 2 weeks.
Great. Any idea what sums of money you're looking at that will be expended in the community to have those projects?
Yes, the community projects off my head is going to cost in the region of $30,000 US.
Okay, so that's a lot of money going to be invested in the community outside of the investment already made in the young people.
In the young people.
What was the numbers you had for the ACE?
25 persons.
25%.
Yeah.
And I imagine that was the first stint of ACE.
First stint of ACE. And probably I can speak to another project that we call ACE 2.0. Now, probably I should go back a little. Project ACE is part of a big project called the Aspire Project, which is funded by CDB. And the components of that project includes the refurbishment of the Grand Bacolet Juvenile Center, the building of a youth block at Her Majesty's Prison, Project ACE, Project Fly, and consultancy to provide, I forgot the exact wording, but it's to provide some consultancy to the redevelopment of TAMCC. So this is all part of the Aspire project. So ACE is part of that. Now, sometime when the project was developed, there was some monies that were set aside for the young people at Grand Bacolet to do a similar project. That we have decided to use that money to expand the project and call it a juvenile reform project, or ACE 2.0. So what basically is going to happen, we're using some current residents of Grand Bacolet, some residents who were released, and some young men and women who are in the court system. So we're going to speak to the magistrate to use this as an alternative sentencing for them. So we're going to have 30 people starting in the next 2 weeks being part of this ACE 2.0. So they're going to do similar thing, life skills and skills training for 5 months. This one is the participants will be younger. They'll start from age 16 to 21 because it's juveniles we're speaking to. So that is going to be sort of like the ACE 2.0 specific to juvenile reform.
And they're not concentrated to one community?
No, not concentrated to one community. Because the residents and ex-residents of Grand Bacolet come from right around the island. Right around the island.
Yeah. Now, I'm still interested in the ACE. Is there, or have you seen, or has the ministry explored the possibility? I know you have 2.0, but as you have explained, ACE 2.0 is as a result of residual funds, if we can call it that.
Yeah.
from the Aspire project. Have there been an approach since you're talking 25 or so people from the Moncton area that appears to have been successful from the first stint in this, made an approach back to CDB saying, look, we have been successful, we'd like you to continue to fund, or we'd want to do 2 additional communities, that kind of thing, to see if we can pick up some more funding to continue with it?
Definitely. I have done a proposal already for Project Reach, another Project Reach, and another Project ACE. The current Aspire project ends in April. So once the project
April of 2021, I imagine.
No, yes, April of 2021, sorry. Right. So once the project ends, CDB would conduct all the audits and all the reports, and they'll decide to move forward with another round of funding. But definitely we have approached them. CDB sponsored the last 3 Project Reach that we had at the prison, and they're definitely looking to sponsor it again. So we have approached them, and I've already done the proposals and so on for them.
Speaking CDB, which means for people, it's the Caribbean Development Bank, for those who don't understand what we're talking about. These projects that they are funding, are they uniquely related just to Grenada, or can you say, do you have knowledge whether or not they're doing similar projects in other jurisdictions around us, other sub-regional countries?
I'm not sure of any other Project Reach in any other country. I think that is, we are the only one probably have a Project Reach. And Project ACE was a pilot project in Grenada. So Project ACE was the first pilot. That's why there was the push to get it right. And I had to work very hard to get it right, because based on how we do it, other countries would benefit. And so far, we have gotten all good reports.
Well, congratulations to you and your team, and of course the entire Ministry of Youth, to the participants who have, again, allowed Grenada to be first and to shine. And sometimes I don't know that we give ourselves enough credit for doing so well. Most times you go to social media or you turn on your radio or television, we hear the negatives. And not that we shouldn't. I believe it's good that the negatives should come out, so we would be better able to straighten the crooked lines and deal with the faults that those projects and programs have. But we sometimes need to get a tap on the back, because we have been doing very well as a people, as a department, especially the Ministry of Youth. Sometimes it comes in for a lot of blows. You hear people talking about there's nothing for young people. Grenada doesn't have nothing. The government ain't doing nothing. I mean, how do you respond to something like that when you are approached, or when people just without much knowledge of what's happening, and probably no fault of theirs too, maybe in hindsight, the ministry has to take a percentage of the blame, because probably they are not as outgoing and outreaching enough to establish and to speak about the many different things that they are doing, and how impactful in a positive way what they are doing may be. But how do you respond to people when they say that there isn't opportunities for young people in this country, nothing is done for them?
The fact speaks for itself. You refer them to young people, you refer them to the PR that came out regarding the projects. And I mean, we don't allow the negative to get us down or defray us from completing a task or doing what we have to. I must commend the ministry. The ministry now has a full PR team, a PR unit. That was one of the downsides that we had. We were not promoting our projects, because I'm sure some of your listeners are probably hearing about Project Fly for the first time. Project Reach. So we recognized this was a deficiency that we had at the ministry level, and the ministry now has a full PR team, even a studio. So we're doing a lot of stuff in terms of PR, pushing it out on radio, TV, and social media. So as time go by, people be hearing more and more about these projects. I know most people, when they hear about the Ministry of Youth, the only thing they hear about is Imani. But there's a lot going on besides Imani. And that is our hope, that we can push out more information and get people to know about our project. So we're working on that, changing the whole narrative of the Ministry of Youth Development.
Yeah. Let me ask that to you, Mr. Callis. Do you or your department, or probably the ministry as a whole, keep track of. We've said earlier on, we've established between Project ACE, Fly, and Reach from the prison, because Project Reach is really geared towards Her Majesty's prisons for trying to transform the youthful population of the prison and to have them become non-repeaters. So we did establish that close to 400 people from 2016 to now might have gone through those programs, being certified, and have transformed their lives to a certain extent. Is there a sort of tracking system? Does the ministry keep a register, so to speak, of whom they have trained, where they're from, and continue to track them over time to see what is happening to them? Have they've been progressing well and advancing in the direction that the ministry would hope that they would go, or have some of them met obstacles and fall back into the same old ways and probably need a hand up again? Is there any system in place that can from time to time tell you, well, look, of these 25 or these 30 or this last 20 we dealt with at the prison, we know at the moment 15 of them are employed, and this is where they're employed, 5 is still unemployed, or 3 is still out, and 2 has returned to prison, something that tracks them over time?
We don't have anything formal, a tracking system per se, but
well, I mean, when I say tracking, I didn't really mean like putting on a device for them
I get
to see. But I mean, keeping in touch. I should probably say,
we do keep in touch. Yes.
What's happening with them?
Definitely, you do keep in touch, and probably not formally, but we do keep in touch with them. Grenada is a small place.
Yes.
You see them all over. You see them in establishments when you go, particularly for the released inmates. Most of the time, a released inmate was in Project Reach. After they get released, the first place they come to is the Ministry of Youth. And they come for support. They come to collect their CVQ certificates. We have people in the small business, etc. We have 2 young men who are doing agriculture, and probably one day I can get you to invite them to your program. Dwayne Charles is one of our success stories from Project Reach. He now has a big farm. He's doing very, very well. And these are people that have given permission to call the names and so on. There's a young man from up your area, Mr. Bola, Koda.
Of course, I know him very well.
He was part of Project Reach. There's a whole documentary on him. I'll send you a link.
Yes.
So he has always said, anything you have PR-wise, invite me, and I'll come and speak. So people like that you can invite. So we do keep up with them. We do meet them often. Project Fly. We do meet them from time to time. Whenever things get rough, they do come to the ministry and ask for recommendations and things like that. But the ministry, based on the meetings we have had recently with the whole new dispensation, would be putting together a solid M&E plan whereby you can monitor and evaluate people when they leave projects. So we are looking forward to it. The plan has been developed, and very soon we'll have a solid M&E plan at the ministry. I
think that would be absolutely necessary, because it is one thing to help people out of a situation. And we may think that now they are mature and fully knowledgeable. And yes, they are probably better off in terms of knowledge and skills than where they were before. But life sometimes can be very, very, very challenging. And we may even want to say probably a little unfair at times.
Very much.
Because, you're doing your very best, you're doing all you can, and suddenly you feel like, everything around you is falling apart. But if there is that constant contact, the support of the ministry and the skills that the ministry have acquired over the years of dealing with people of similar nature might be called upon again to give that person a further push. Yes, and I'm not here advocating that people become totally reliant on the ministry to do everything for them. But I would consider it a wastage of time and resources, human and financial, to train, to have somebody go through a program for a year. They come out doing well, and they hit an obstacle. They start falling back, and there is no support system, if I can put it that way, to help them overcome that obstacle, 1 or 2 that they may meet in life. So I think it's a good direction, the monitoring and evaluation, and to keeping people. But just to touch on that young man you spoke about from the Tivoli area, Koda. the intervention of Project Reach, I can certainly testify, has made marked improvement on this gentleman. And I would love to, with your contacts. I know him well. I see him. We do interact with each other. I've seen the documentary that was done with him. I've heard him speak, and I can testify that he was a very, very, very regular repeater to the prison. He has been there almost consistently. He would spend, I believe, and maybe I need to be corrected, but probably 10 out of every 12 months of a year in prison. But having gone through Project Reach, he has been now for probably the better part of 3 or 4 years out, trying to get by, trying to survive. And on one of those occasions, he told me he will never return to prison. And I believe that impact. But people must hear it from him. They must hear it. Those who have not seen the documentary probably can look at it. Young people too, probably he can be used to speak to them, because he will be speaking the experience. And he's still a very young man. He's still a very young man. He had started going into prison at a very, 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 very early age. Yes. So, Kellis, you all have been doing very well and doing quite a number of programs. So you have ACE, you have Fly, you have Reach, and those will be the 3 flagship programs under your division. Yeah. And we are not here going to talk about the many other things that the ministry is doing, like the Imani and all those things. But I want to ask you, having mentioned Imani, now I do know from experience that people who sometimes get into the Imani, those who are interested do get that opportunity to do further educational development, like those who wants to go to TAMCC. Some even at St. George's University. I've known a few people who have started as an Imani trainee, and during the process of being a trainee, was enlisted at St. George's University. For those programs that you have a supervision over, they are time sensitive, 12 months, whatever the case may be. But is there that opportunity with assistance coming from government, probably through the Ministry of Youth, for someone who's been through the ACE or the Fly, or probably even Project Reach at the prison, can then say, well, look, I have gotten this far, but I have a desire academically to go further, and I don't have the wherewithal, I don't have the support system, I don't have the financial resources. Is there anything or any thought as to how the ministry can give further assistance, or can direct them to a place where they may get further assistance?
Yes, they can. Not unlike the Imani program, which has a component that speaks to scholarship opportunities and support while in school. Project ACE, Reach and Fly doesn't have that. However, we have had people who have come forward and asked for support to go to TAMCC, TAMCC mostly. I know of one young lady who wanted to do social work. She did cookery, but she said she always had a passion for social work, and she met the qualification, the requirements to go to TAMCC. So I pointed her to her member of parliament, who has the transportation assistance, and the Prime Minister's office, which has the social welfare assistance for persons going to school. And she did receive support through those channels, and she was able to go to TAMCC. So we might not have at the ministry level, but of course government has other roads that you can use to get assistance to go to school. So definitely through the MP's office, she was able to source transportation assistance to go to TAMCC, and through the Prime Minister's office, through the social care support, she received tuition support in that regard. So definitely if persons are interested from these programs and going further, they can do so with our support.
Academically, yes. People like that young lady that you make mention of, would they be willing to sit before a microphone like you and be questioned and to speak to the public? Because it would be one very, very effective way of answering those who are hell-bent on continuing to push our youth down and continuing to say that there are no opportunities. Now, I would agree that some of the opportunities may be limited as it relates to to jobs. We are a small economy, and there's only so much that can happen. But I want to believe, from what I know, and in addition to what you're saying, that valiant efforts are being made on the part of the Ministry of Youth and to an extent the government of Grenada to get our young people engaged at varying level. Because that may not be within your purview as well. But outside of those three that you mentioned, in the last year or so, they have started the Empower, the Manpower project, which is kind of similar to what you've mentioned here, but again, targeting a different number of youths in different areas, training them, certifying them, and hoping that they would end up on the job market to be productive and to provide services to individuals, companies, and of course Grenada at large. So we need to do a lot more of the outreach and having people speak out. Do you think through your contacts, Mr. Callis, that you can make things like that happen?
It has been a challenge. It has been a challenge getting young people in front of a mic. Some are very shy. Some don't want to go public. Some are scared to be on social media because of the bashing and all that. But we do have some that are not afraid. I can tell you off the bat, we have a young man who was part of Project Fly in Black Bay, St. John's. He's now a youth ambassador. He didn't move on to the hospitality industry. He works as an assistant youth officer, but he can speak on Project Fly because Project Fly is what really groomed him, the life skills, helped him to bring out his skills and talent. He's now a youth parliamentarian. We have other people that I can put together. I'm sure I can put together some people for you to speak to.
It would be nice. It would really be nice because, we tend to in this country, and of course I understand the fact that we're very, very polarized. We're charged politically to the limit, I believe. I don't know if some of us can go anymore. and so we can only see things through the lens of politics. Most of us do, and we don't accept that good things are happening simply because we don't support a particular organization, group, or party. Yeah, but if something is good, irrespective of who did it, where the original idea came from, we need to say it's a good thing. Yeah. Now, if you are being given an opportunity, Mr. Callis, you've been in the department for nearly 10 years now, you say, specific with what you're doing now the last 7 years, but overall 10 years. And you were called upon to give advice to your present minister on how there can be improvements to what is being done now, or what new areas you may want to venture into that can bring additional support to young people. And I'm probably putting you on the spot here with this one. But if you are allowed to, and you can say, what are the areas or what are the things you would like to see done to improve, one, what is being done now, and secondly, what new areas you think the ministry needs to venture into?
In terms of new areas to venture into, we have tried at the ministry level to bring in non-traditional skills, but it becomes very difficult to introduce non-traditional skills. We are accustomed to the masonry, construction, agriculture. We try to go into more IT skills, IT development, fish production, fish boat building, and it's very difficult to get young people. So I think my advice would be to push more, make it more classy. I wouldn't say classy, but make it more appealing. That's the word. Appealing to young people to want to go into these non-traditional skills and make it. Many times we tend to, and I'm probably going to touch some nerves here, but I think too many times a lot of young people, particularly the females, they just want to go into the office administration and waitressing and cooking and just the traditional areas, and we're trying to move them out of that. So I think at the ministry we have to make these courses more appealing. And the other advice probably I would have given, and we did give, is the monitoring and evaluation, and they are working on it. They're developing that because we need to do more than just training and letting go, but we need to hold hands a little further after we have completed the skills training with them. So most times we complete the skills and that's it, but now we have a little more, we developing opportunities for more hand holding, where we hold their hands after that. Also, the ministry is also another advice that I gave before that is now moving forward, is establishing cooperatives among young people. I know generally in Grenada, Grenadians are not well with cooperatives. We don't have a cooperative mindset, but it's something that we can tap into and get young people to form more cooperatives. I'm happy to say that the ministry is leading the sewing cooperative in Pearls currently, which is a great idea, and that could serve as a model for many more around the island. And that is something that we can look at, and it provides employment. You don't have to go looking for employment for young people, but once they form themselves into cooperatives, that can be a good thing. And that's basically the advice I would give in terms of, yes.
Very well. I just haven't touched on cooperatives. I know that one of the challenge the women's arm, the national women's arm of the new national party has been advocating, and I think they have actually passed on a letter or a document to the Minister for Cooperatives, because to actually form a cooperative, there need to be a certain number of people in it, be it 9 or 12. I don't have the exact number in my head. And one of the challenge that they foresee with that, because they themselves have been working with women, there's always this complaint that you get, and that is just sidetracking a little bit now, this complaint that you constantly get that, there are things done for the young people, and we continue to say that youths are generally people between 18 and 35. The seniors, to a certain extent, when they get to a certain age, they are being looked after, but a lot of them, and especially the single mothers, which is not a word I like to use, because you can't be single and become a mother. But I don't understand how once there's a child in the making, you become single. Before that, there was always a couple, but that is what it is. Continue to complain that once you pass 35 going upwards and you're in that kind of middle range, 39, 40, 42, 45, there's not much for you. And I know that the women's have been trying to work with some of them and seeing if they can get them to start little cooperatives, doing different things as a cooperative. But one of the challenges is the numbers. So they have advocated and spoken or written to the minister with responsibility for cooperatives, asking whether or not he can get the Legal Affairs Division to take a look again at the Cooperative Act or law and reduce the numbers. So instead of, because if you don't have that number that is listed, and it's listed in the law, you cannot register as a cooperative. So they were looking more at 5. If you have 5 people, 5 as a number. And it might be easier to get smaller numbers of people in a certain locality to work together into a cooperative. Whether that will materialize or not, I don't know. But I just thought I'd mention it because you mentioned the word cooperative. It is something that there was an era in Grenada around the time of the revolution when the whole idea of cooperative was well established, and you had a few of them being formed. But the demise of the revolution probably brought the demise of the whole idea of cooperatives, and it's something we probably need to rekindle.
And you are correct about the age, the persons over 35 complaining. We get that a lot. We get that a lot because they say once you pass 35, there's nothing really for us. But I think how we can resolve that, and I know I would have spoken to a couple of MPs at that, is at the constituency level, probably what you can do is have some short-term training. You can do a lot of short-term training for people within that bracket, cake making, cake icing, pastry making, sewing, agro-processing. And you see, once you get them involved in the training, then you can speak to cooperative. Because if you go to a community, let's say we go to Bolio, St. George's, and we say to the community, hey, we're going to have a pastry making class for persons over 35 in Boca Secondary School. I can guarantee you you're going to have a lot of people coming out to want to do it. So I think that's the approach you could use, is to have the training courses, these short training. Then after that, once they complete it, then you can form them into cooperatives. And I can guarantee you can get the numbers, because people would be anxious. There's a huge drive now, not just from youth, but from people wanting to do training courses. And people say young people not interested, but that's not really true. The problem is you want to have courses for young people, you want to have training, and you provide no transportation allowance and these things for them to get there. They might not be interested, but there's a huge drive among people. You put out a course and you say the course is free and you get your bursary funding, you get hundreds of applications. There's a huge movement of people wanting to develop themselves. So I think for the people over 35, these are some areas you can look at the constituency community level, using the community centers and offer these short training courses for people within that demographic.
So in short, you're saying it's not a lack of desire to be trained,
no,
but it's the inability of some people to participate. Yes.
In it. And then again, some of the single parents, they have small kids, so they need support to take care of the kids for them to come to the training.
But where are the fathers? If a young lady, a 33-year-old, and I'm just picking a number now, she has 2 young children, and she's desirous of getting into a training program for the purposes of bringing greater economic value to the family, because the more you know, the more skilled you become, probably the more monies you can make, or you may receive a promotion on the job if you have one, or it makes you become more employable. Why is it so difficult for the father figure in that relationship? And both kids may well be, both children, the same father. Why can't he say,
it's a question we have asked ourselves also. It's a question we have asked ourselves. I've met young ladies who want to come to training and the father is home and the father refuses to take care of the child. Just recently, about 3 weeks ago, one of the training center called me. The father is home with a small child, a couple months old. The female is at a course, and the father brought the child to the female at the course. He don't want to take care of the child. And he is home, he dropped the child and he went back home. So that's something that we have been asking ourselves a lot of times. Why men are not interested in seeing the development of females. Some may say they see it as a threat. I mean, a woman home.
Some people say.
Some people say that some men might see it as a threat. This woman is now developed. She's going to find a job. Probably if she finds a job, she's going to meet other men, and things like that. So there's a number of issues to speak to why men are not more supportive. There are some who are very, very supportive, but there are some, the majority, they are not supportive. And I'm speaking here from experiencing young women who can't attend training because they don't have the support of the males.
I have an advice for those women who don't get the support of the male partner, but I won't give it now. It may not be the right place for it. But I want to let our young men know, well, not just young men, but men in general, know that if from what Mr. Callis has said, those of us who feel that we can protect ourselves and relationship by stifling the opportunities that the young ladies should get for training and to participate in other things. And we think that is what will protect the relationship that we have with them. You are in for a rude awakening. It can't. It won't. Nothing can stop an idea, a thought, or a plan from fully materializing when time comes. We have experienced, a lot of us, it's a totally different topic that you don't want to get into now, but we have seen many of us try to strap and harness and keep under tight control some of the female figures, but woe unto us who try, because when the time comes, nothing can prevent it. Mr. Callis, we chit-chatting and we're running down. We're past 11 o'clock now. So what I want to do is to open up the lines to let our callers know that they can be part of the conversation, because sometimes people complain that, well, they had an idea, there was something they wanted to ask them. Whether you are a senior person or a young person, you can call in now. You can get us on 440-7377 if you're calling locally. We also can accept WhatsApp calls. You can send a message. You can be part of the conversation if you're listening out there in the diaspora via 92.9, not 92.9, sorry, but 94.9, which is We Noise Radio, Brooklyn, New York. You can give us a little holler on the digital 347-329-3101. That's the number that you can reach us. And if you're a local, it's 440-7377. We'd like to open up the lines now so you can ask, you can pitch, you can add something, and it appears as though we already have a first caller. Hello, caller. Good morning. Welcome. Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning and welcome to our program.
Yes, I'm calling for the program. I'm listening to the program for the longest while.
You have been. The
Yes,
voice sounds like someone that I do know. I'm not sure, but go right ahead.
Yes, and concerning to I'm not. Hi, good morning.
Yeah. You need to turn down your radio and listen to us on the phone.
Okay, hold
Because
on.
there's a delayed broadcast.
Yes, that's okay. I know you too, Mr. Bola.
Okay, great. So go ahead.
Yes, I'm talking about. Okay, concerning the program, I'm a young person but interested in getting to go and get a CBQ under the geriatric program. I work under the Iman. But most of the program I see, when I see it on the social media platform and I try to sign up because of my age, I'm not getting through. So can you give me any other direction I could go through to get into the program just to get a certificate under the geriatric program?
Mr. Carriacou, I don't know if you can take this one, but I do. Before you come in, I know that there's the, what you call it, the NTRC, is that?
NTA?
The NCRC.
Not the NTRC. Those that deal with the certification.
Yeah, she completed the Imani before?
She said she is,
I'm
yes,
still on the Imani
she is still on the program, but because of age, she tried to sign up for doing a certificate program under geriatric training, and she's not accepted.
And you're currently in the sector?
Yes.
Right, so what you can do, you can contact the National Training Agency,
Yes.
the NTA, and speak to them. There is a process called the assessment of prior learning, and what that is, persons who are already in a particular job and have years of experience, you don't need to go to classes per se to learn, in your case, about this. So what they can do is assign an assessor. You have to develop a portfolio. So there's a self-assessment first. So they're going to send you a self-assessment where you assess yourself based on the industry that you are in. Once you send it back for them, they would then assign an assessor who would visit you on the job and assess based on what you said you can do and what you can do. Then you develop a portfolio based on that, and you can get your certificate. So the first step is to contact the NTA and ask them about the APL process.
So do you have any number for the NTA offhand?
435-9092.
Okay, thanks very much.
No problem.
Okay.
Good. So it's the NTA I wanted to say, and I said the NTRC. Yeah, just the NTRC is the National Telecommunications Regulatory Body, and the NTA is the National Trading Agency. Yeah, because I know the NTA do have something in place, but I wasn't sure what it was. So thank you there, caller, and the lines are open. Mr. Carlos is here. He will answer much of your questions if he's able to. So continue. I think we do have another caller coming in there, Jay. I've seen a little blink. Yes, we do. Good morning, caller, and welcome to the program.
Yes, good morning, Doc.
Good morning, and how are you, sir?
Not too bad. Now, how's your guest?
Yeah, Mr. Carlos is here.
Morning, I'm good.
No, listening to your guest, he made the point that some men just be scared to allow the lady to actually upgrade themselves because they may lose them or whatever it is. But what I discover in my experience, there's many women who find good men, but they do not want to walk along with the men to develop. They prefer you have something first. So they look at you. And until you have and you show that you are developed, they're scared. They do not want to work with you to develop from the bottom. And that is one of the problems we're having. So if you could get these women generally to understand that it's very important and more important to have somebody who do not have, even though they don't have, but you work together to build for you. Because you see, sometimes they have motives. They may start with your good, and then when they develop to a certain extent, they leave. So you will have to get them to understand that if you're going to do that, you build for life with that particular person, and not to use them and then to run away. We're having a lot of problem in those areas, and men are failing because they pick people up, they work to a certain extent with them, and when they get to this level where they could be comfortable, they move. So you'll have to talk to the ladies on that level to let them settle down with that person and build maybe for the rest of their life, but for future happiness, and not to use the person for their own ends and to move, because we have been too much situation in Grenada as a result of that.
Well, we get that. That is a topic we may have to look at to discuss with some people who have expertise in the area of relationship building.
Sure, thank you.
I don't think I'm qualified enough, but I will try.
You do. You are diplomat.
Thank you, though, for that thought, and we'll keep that in mind.
Have a great day.
You have a blessed one yourself. As we say, you can continue to reach us and join the conversation. You may have a comment to make, a question to ask, or just want to offer some word of advice. It's 440-7377 if you're calling locally, or 347-329-3101. We have in studio with us. Yes, good morning.
Yeah,
good morning. Thank you for calling.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Morning.
Yeah, Mr. Bola, you're speaking about cooperatives, right? Like I always say to the young people, sometimes you want to go into some farming, but at the government always say, you want to go somewhere, if you have 5 or 6 men, 12 men to come together, right, and form a cooperative group, and they go to the government, right, it become much easier for them to get what they want to achieve in life. Well, see what happened now. Why some people afraid to go in cooperative? Some people were like, they want to have in them when they go in cooperative and they make money, they don't get the sufficient money. Right? So they have a fear. But what I'm saying to the young people, if people plant different crops, you plant cocoa, right, and so you plant cabbage, and when the time is to sell, you can't expect everybody to get in and see money because one crop will be there. Right? So some people may feel that they don't get enough money and they are confused and stubborn and all things collapse. What I want to say to the young people, form a cooperative, go to the government, right? And everybody will receive it as salary, receiving money when they sell the crops. But before you go into that, you have to have a market. So when you plant a thing, you know exactly where you're going to sell it. I do that is something young people, farmers don't want to plant a higher scale of vegetable crops. Because when they plant it, it all seems back in the hand and spoils. And one thing I always say, to see, when a farmer plants, the farmer should be able to sell things in the market. He should be able to sell it, he produces it, he rip it, he send it back to the hotel. That farmer will have more time in the home, in the garden. Because when he leaves the garden to go in the market to sell the crop, that time that he loses from the garden. So I want to say to young people in general, come together, form a cooperative, and everybody plant different things. Not everybody plant the same thing. When everybody plant the same thing, well, you go back to the market, you go up spoil it. But if you plant different crops, everybody getting the things there. So, Mr. Bola, Mr. Kels, you are about to double it up.
Well, thank you so much. Just want to say to those who are listening that agriculture is not the only place, Farming is not the only area that you can form a cooperatives. You can form cooperatives to do different things. As Mr. Callis has indicated, there's the garment factory.
Yeah. There are some successful cooperatives. The Shanty Mill Furniture
yes.
Cooperative. I mean, a lot of people don't know the gas station in Sugar Mill, C-Tech. gas station is a cooperative.
They're cooperative.
That was farmers a cooperative. So there are successful stories
Yes.
with cooperatives around the place.
So it's not only for farming.
Mhm.
It's definitely. Just at the moment, while we don't have another caller, Mr. Callis, just the programs that you all do, and in particular, like I say, you're not speaking on everything that the ministry do. It's just those within your ambit, those people who are in conflict with the law. Do you cater for like social events, or is it just straight we deal with the academics and the skills and things, or is there a time when these same young people can have a moment just on a lighter side to interact with one another and see how they would behave when they are not being watched by the eyes of those who are supposed to be responsible for the training and so forth?
Definitely. Every program has a social component. For those in Willis, I can tell you we had a end of life skills. There was a cook up. They did oil dung and brown dung and steam fish and so on at the community center. Then a couple of weeks after that, they went to the beach, to the Grenada beach, where they had a social. Those in Carriacou also had an end of life skills activity, and they are planning a beach activity. And it's just to build camaraderie among them. And of course, as you said, it gives me the opportunity and other persons the opportunity to see them outside of the formal settings, because after the training, I have to send them on internship. And I have to understand them, those who are introverts, those who are extroverts, those who have this skills, those who have that skills, those who are the leaders in the mids, those who are those who, so it gives me the opportunity to see them. And definitely, and sometimes they ask, well, why we have to go on social activities? Some of them, and you get that mostly from the introverts, but I always push it, because for me, it gives me an opportunity to see them outside of the comfort zone, and it helps with when we start doing internship where I please them, etc. So definitely they have social, and it's young people. It's young people you're dealing with, so you definitely have to have those activities to keep them together.
Well, they always need something to vent.
Yes,
That's what the
yes.
young people say. They want to vent.
Yeah.
But there's another side to that. We talk social activities, and you mentioned the beach, the cook-up, things like that. Good. But do we get an opportunity having these groups together, 30s, the 40s, from different communities? And I guess say from different family settings, there are those who grew up with single parent, either matrifocal or patrifocal, the father or the mother side. There are those who have both parents with them. There are those who probably grew up with a relative or so with other siblings. And is it something that the ministry has as a policy, or is it something you may think that is necessary? And I'm citing here sometimes getting them together in a very informal way, not always like you say in the classroom settings, very formal, but to pick their brains and to get them to talk about the ills in society, the things that they despise, the things that they would like to see different. What they will do if given an opportunity to be the Prime Minister one day. If you were the representative for your constituency, what would you do different? Because sometimes we say young people are not given an opportunity to be part of the decision-making process. And we oftentimes think that the only way they can do that is by bringing them to a formal setting, a formal sit-down, a consultation with the Prime Minister or with the Minister. But I am saying that the fact that you can get them together, they can socialize together, where they are building that kind of a rapport with each other and becoming a little bit more comfortable with each other. Maybe from time to time there can be that just sit down and a couple of questions thrown out in a very informal way and to listen to the responses. Is that something that is done, or is it something you feel, if not done, that can be done, something that can be a part where we can pick up relevant and information that can help to make things easier for them or better for them?
There is a topic in the life skills which is called My Community and I.
Yes.
And they deal with community issues. What are the issues in community? How I could deal with the issues in the community. They touch on national issues, what needs changing, what doesn't need changing. If I were to use Willis as an example, as you know, the situation there, the MP would have left and become the opposition leader. So that was a big issue that was discussed at one of those activities. You know, they share their views about it and all these things. So definitely, probably not in the way that you're suggesting it, but it was discussed. And it's definitely something that we can look at expanding the community and I component to include those areas where they speak on national issues. And you could probably have some ministry leaders and even the minister and so on sit in to hear from them. Because believe it or not, you probably think they're not au fait with the current affairs, but they are. They're very much. You heard the discussion, and I was even surprised that some of them were quoting things from Parliament that the MP for the area said in Parliament. You know, so they're very, very, very in tune with what is happening in terms of current affairs. So it's definitely something that we can look at implementing in the life skills.
I, having walked the road myself of being a representative, always make mention of the fact that the electorate are much, much more clever than we as politicians sometimes think we are. We often then think we are the smarter ones, but I do believe that the electorate are far smarter.
Definitely.
They're more intelligent and they understand things that we believe are very complicated to them, which we can simplify it. The idea of having the MP there is not a bad one, but sometimes I think people feel a little bit more relaxed and free in the absence of the MP or you know, some authoritative figure. Sometimes when it causes people to hold back. And what I'm sensing is that through your engagement with young people, getting them to speak out and the responses be channeled so that the decision makers can understand. Because it is one thing for decision makers and those in authority to think, well, you know, this is what the young people want. This is what should be done for them. This is where we should place more emphasis. This is where the monies should be spent. And the young people themselves may have something totally different in mind. And it could be at times why we sometimes get so much pushback, because we are attempting to do things for them. And maybe that's what it should be. But while we have to do things for them, it must be with their consent and involvement. So in a nutshell, what I'm trying to do is seeing how we can use those opportunities to get more from them, to tailor make some of the programs that we're doing to better suit them, so we can get maximum results from the programs that we do.
Even going beyond that, I know something that we tried before, but it was not really successful because ministers and MPs are so busy. But I know Minister Joseph did it and Minister Pierre did it. They went into the life skills and they taught a session.
Okay.
They did a session, a whole. So they were the teacher, and that was well received by the participants. I know Minister Joseph got a lot of talk after that. You know, they were saying, "Hey, boss, you could teach, man. You could teach." You know, those type of things. So I wish more MPs would do that. Just go into the sessions and schedule with us and say, "Look, I want to teach the Empower that day and share my life story with them and give them, you know." So that's something I think that it could build relationships with them in that regard. I know they're very busy, but it's something that can be considered.
Maybe you don't even have to call it teach, but
Not
maybe
teach.
you can say just engage.
Just engage.
You know, in
Just
the life
engage.
skills session,
Yes.
I want a session or two to engage
them.
with them, because in those instances, an MP will engage mainly with the people who are from their neck of the woods, their jurisdiction, their constituency. And so it brings that kind of rapport, and people feel, because when you are representing people, from my own understanding, you have to find ways to engage with them.
Yeah.
Because whatever you're advocating or doing, it will be on their behalf. And you would want to know that what I'm going out there, what I'm going in Parliament and stand up and ask for, is what the people actually want. I mean, sometimes we have our own ideas, but it is always good when we can get something more from the people. And I really do believe that that's one of the avenues where you can get it. Not to politicize it, because sometimes people tend to believe once you're going to invite the MP, once you're going to have an MP being part of a process, it is to talk politics. All right? And that's not what I'm suggesting by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just saying that if we know more and we hear more from these people whom we want to represent, we may be better able to make the decisions that will be more fulfilling for them, in that kind of way. And whoever it may be, that may be their representatives. So, for example, as you use the example of Willis, where the present rep is no longer with the ruling administration, but now is opposition. I see no reason why he still being the representative, because while he's not with the administration, but he's the representative, should not be given an opportunity, at least, to engage and interact. If it's being opened up, and I mean, if the time comes when that can happen, I think it's going to be fair and it's going to be good.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, we need to look at it. We're getting close to that point. We're winding down. We're getting close to the point where we will have to call it a day, but we are not there yet, Mr. Callis. So I don't know if there are any things that you felt that we did not cover, or something you may have had in mind that you wanted to expose to the public that I did not know about and ask you about, because we didn't plan how we're going to do the questioning. I just threw them at you and you so ably responding to them all. So I want to give you that opportunity now, not necessarily closing remarks, but if there's any area of the programs that you do that you think we didn't touch on, and it is something that you think the public should know, please speak on it now.
Right. So I didn't mention that as part of Project Fly, there is also a community service component. I spoke about ACE. So for the persons in Willis, they will be doing a health fair at the Willis basketball court. The plan was to do it pre-Christmas, but then they decided post-Christmas, after people would have had their festivities and eat all the ham and cake and so on. They said they'll do the health fair after. So they give people sort of like a check on the health post-Christmas. So they'll be doing a health fair. They'll be doing a welcome to Willis sign. And they'll be doing some decoration in and around the basketball court at the Willis Community Center as part of their community project. And those in Carriacou will be building a dustbin, a concrete bin outside of the Dover Government School where they did their life skills. So they're giving back to the school by way of building a build. So we try to always have a community service component where they learn volunteerism, they learn giving back to the community, and developing an appreciation for the community. So that's these two projects. I also want to mention, apart from the Ministry of Youth, there's a lot of other training opportunities for young people happening. And particularly, I want to mention the SIRE program, which I don't have deep information about, but I know through the SIRE program, there's a number of training in agriculture, agro-processing, etc. So the same number I gave for the NTA persons, if you want to find out about the SIRE programs, you can call 435-9092 to find out about SIRE. Then there's also the SKY program. The SKY program is sponsored by the UK government, and you probably would have seen a lot of things about SKY. The first round is near completion, and there is the second round. So there's a lot of people who would have done training under the SKY program, currently under that program. And the SKY program or project is really a project in the Windward Islands funded by the UK government, where their hope is to train 4,000 people in the Windward Islands in skills area to improve the employability skills or the employability. So in Grenada, the hope is to spend £2 million, and they have already started Newlo, Sedu in Grenville, Andrew Belfont Construction just started a cohort. It's totally free, and they provide traveling allowance. And there's some more. TAMCC just closed off their cohort of the SKY program, but I think they have some spots. TAMCC has some spots they're doing a smart agriculture training course at the Maribor Farm School, and they have some spots remaining. So you can call TAMCC School of Continuing Education, that's in St. George's, to find out about the SKY project in general agriculture. Also, there is I think a park and terrestrial training course also under the SKY program at the Maribor Farm School. So you can call TAMCC about that. And there's a solar repairs course also happening that you can find out about, so you can call TAMZC. So there's a lot of training opportunities happening for youth between, this one is for youth between 15 and 30. So as I said, you can call TAMZC to find out what they have available in the Sky project, and you can call NULO to find out what they have available in the Sky project. These are free courses paid for by the UK government. So just thought I mentioned that.
Very well. Someone just sent us something on the WhatsApp, and the concern was that there's a lot of skills training being done by the Ministry of Youth, but they think an area that need to be concentrated on is training or teaching people about financial control and management of There's a WhatsApp call. Can we get it? There's also a WhatsApp call coming in. Let's see if we can get it before you respond. Hello? Are we? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good morning. Thank you for calling.
Okay. Good. I appreciate you taking the call, and the gentleman there with you. I'm tuning in late, so I did not know what you were talking specifically. But I just want to, I was listening to RealFM earlier, and Andrew and them were wishing our Prime Minister or their Prime Minister a happy birthday. And I just want to join them in wishing him God's blessing and health and strength as he continues to serve us in Grenada. It is such a blessing and a privilege to have such a man in time like these, you know, to helping us, and along with all his colleagues. But I just want to say a special happy birthday to you, dear Prime Minister, with God blessing. Thank you so much.
Thank you too for calling, and we do appreciate that. And I think Prime Minister will be glad to know that his citizens are wishing him the very best on his birthday. Yes, Mr. Kelly. So that was the person's concern before we got the call. So I don't know whether or not that is already part of the package, but they're thinking that, yes, skills training, but also they think financial management, financial control.
Financial literacy is very important, and it starts at the life skills. As a matter of fact, it starts at the very beginning, before they get the very first stipend. It starts. We teach financial literacy. We even had, I know for Project Fly, we had someone come in from the Ariza Credit Union to speak to them about the savings and importance of savings and how to manage the money properly. Of course, it's young people, and you do have to give them some, you do have to help them to develop the skills in that regard. So definitely we have financial literacy as part of our life skills curriculum.
Great. Maybe you just need to re-emphasize it from time to time.
We have to do so we always have to do that. We always do that. We always have to reiterate it.
Great. So there's just a few minutes left. So if there is someone who has a burning issue, there is someone who wants to call to make a comment, you just have maybe just about 5 minutes in which you can do that. 5 minutes more before the program come to an end. We appreciate already those who have called, those who have commented, those who have sent us WhatsApp messages or via other the other platforms. And we're speaking with Mr. Johnny Callis, who is from the Ministry of Youth, has the specific responsibility for dealing with youth in conflict, young people in particular who have had some problems with the law, with schools, with their parents, with families, and so. And I imagine, Mr. Callis, that must be a richly rewarding thing for you, but also a very challenging thing.
Yeah, it's rewarding. It's rewarding to see people move from A to point Z. Most times you see them the first day. I always joke about it, but I say you see the people that come in the first day to register is not the people you see 4 months later.
Great.
They look very, very different, particularly the females. You know, we always joke about that. You see a female come, and when you see them and they go to the hairdresser and they make up, and you're like, wow, you can't believe it's the same person. So the programs, they are very rewarding. It does have its challenges because you're dealing with young people. You're dealing with young people that come from varying households. Some probably haven't received the training and the development in their formative years. So you have to work with them now in their adult years to develop basic skills that you think would probably be basic and people understand, but you have to help them to develop that. But it's very, very rewarding, and anyone from the ministry would share the same sentiments in that regard.
Great. So that's part of the challenge that you face on a day-to-day basis. Mr. Callis, I want to use this opportunity now to thank you for the time that you have taken to be here with us, to sit with us here for the entire program, and for really in the best way possible, embellish to the public what is being done. And that is just a small fraction of what the Ministry of Youth does, yes? Because you have not touched on many other programs. And like I say, the flagship program, which is really the Imani, who only recently took in a little over 700
persons, yeah.
Again, and that is what, batch 7 or 8?
Batch 7.
Batch 7.
7 in Grenada, batch 6 in Carriacou.
Right, and batch 6 in Carriacou. So there's a lot being done in terms of what you're trying to do for the young people, albeit that some do still fall through the cracks for varying reasons. And, government alone cannot do it all. We need all hands on deck. We need all hands on board. Government is attempting to do the best that they can, and maybe they can do a little bit more. But if we get more assistance, if we have more people coming on board, if we have more ideas, if we have more people willing to share their time and their energies and utilize their skills for the benefit of the young people, eventually all of us will benefit in one way or the other as Grenadians. So we really want to thank you. We want to also thank the Ministry of Youth, and we hope that can be the beginning of a partnership, because about 3 to 4 weeks ago we did have with us Mr. Bihari, who spoke on brother terms, because he's now the what position does he hold?
The coordinator, the acting coordinator.
The acting coordinator, not director, but coordinator of youth. And so he spoke on brother terms, and we're looking forward to have some more, because we had a program. Unfortunately, we had a clash where there were 2 people from the Ministry of Youth to speak specific to the Manpower, the Empower program, and that is rescheduled for some other time. Because we really want people to know that, look, the Ministry of Youth is alive, is well, is doing a number of things, or they have been doing, and we just need to know what they are doing, and we need to establish. And I want to encourage the Ministry of Youth at the same time to have more of these outreach programs. Let people know, and to use some of the real life stories. So not just Mr. Callis as the supervisor of a particular arm of the ministry talking about the things they are doing, but if we can get some of the participants and some of the people whose life has been transformed as a result of what they have been through, the training, the fact that they have gotten a job, talk, whether you have to tape it and replay it, because people want to hear these stories, and that can inspire others to want to do better. And our youths, as I oftentimes say, are the people of the present and the future. They're here now, we need to deal with them now, and there will be the future. You and I won't be around forever. We will get into our golden years, and they're the ones that will be sooner than later taking over. So we need to spend time and energies and monies to help train and prepare them, so that when their time comes to lead, that they would be leading with compassion, so to speak. Yes. So I'll give you now an opportunity and convey my thanks to your PR team, the people who made contact with us, and organized to have you here. When you leave, you will give our compliments to them. But you have the last word, Mr. Callis. Whatever you want to say as your closing remarks, I now give you an opportunity to do that.
Well, I want to thank you, Mr. Bola, for the opportunity, and I want to thank the HARDTALK team for adhering of responding to our requests in the positive and having me here this morning. I want to thank the viewers for viewing, the viewers and listeners online and via radio for joining us. It's always a pleasure for the ministry to be here to share our projects and programs, and we are always open to new ideas. We're always open to discussion, so feel free to give us a call, 440-6917 at the Ministry of Youth and 439-9923 at the Grenada Youth Center. So again, thank you on behalf of the Division of Youth Development.
You are absolutely welcome, and I just want you and everyone else in the Ministry of Youth to know that we would welcome you and your team or other persons from the ministry as long as we've been given some kind of notice. We try to fit you into our program schedule once you're coming to impart knowledge, because that's our aim on HARDTALK, to bring the facts, to let people know what's happening. We are not about popularity stunt. We are about bringing facts and bringing information and trying in whatever small way we can to help the good things that are happening, to establish them, to help to make them better. We also sometimes on our program hit hard and criticize when we see faults, but we understand that we are all human, that mistakes will be made, that there will be teething problems for new projects, and we accept that. But what we want to do is make people know that when they learn what the problems are, that they do something about it. Let me just use this opportunity as we're getting to the end again on behalf of myself, my family, the NNP family, and the management and staff of the headquarters at Mount Helicon, to wish our Honorable Prime Minister a very happy birthday again. We did it at the beginning, and we know throughout the island and throughout the islands, because he's well known not just here in Grenada, but throughout the islands, very, very, very popular in Jamaica, in Barbados, Trinidad to a certain extent. We join with all those around the world who wants to wish him a very pleasant day today, Prime Minister. We hope that long life and good health will continue to be with you, and that God will richly bless you so that you can continue to lead your people for as long as time would allow you to, and enjoy your day today. It's your birthday, and we thank you. So, as we oftentimes say here on HARDTALK, we thank those who participated, those who sent us comments, those who called, those who had something to offer to us. Again, we show our appreciation and thanks to Mr. Callis and to the Ministry of Youth for being here with us today, and for making today's program possible. And we say to you, whatever you say, whatever you do, you must be safe, you must be secure, continue to obey the rules and regulations of the country, especially as it relates to the protocols for COVID-19, and stay alive, stay safe, because we want to be talking to you and not about you. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Continue to enjoy your Thursday, and stay tuned for the National Report, which should be coming to you right about now. Thank you very much.
Ministry of Health's contact tracing efforts result in 38 being quarantined following recent protocol breach. We'll have details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Wednesday, November 11th, 2020, I am Rikisha St. Louis. 38 persons are now in quarantine following aggressive contact tracing efforts by the Ministry of Health in the wake of a breach of Grenada's COVID-19 protocols by a medical doctor and his wife who arrived here on November 1st. The individuals who were approved for quarantine visited 4 restaurant facilities in the south of the island before receiving the results of their PCR test that were conducted on November 5th. Records of the names of staff and patrons were provided by 3 of the 4 facilities, but 1 was non-compliant. During the government's weekly post-cabinet briefing on Wednesday, Health Minister Honorable Nicholas Steele warned that facility could face possible fines.
In keeping with the public health regulations, there is a possibility of fines, and most definitely, as Minister, I have no intention of seeing any establishment reopen that has been non-compliant. And in fact, at present, as we had announced previously, we have stepped up on the monitoring of establishments as we approach the Christmas season, and those that are non-compliant, from accommodation establishments to entertainment establishments, will be closed until they have gone through again the necessary training and convinced the Ministry of Health and contact tracing team and Dr. Charles's team that they are compliant and therefore worthy to reopen again. But establishments will remain closed that were non-compliant in this instance. And as we go through over the next 24 to 48 hours of inspections, other establishments will be closed.
Patrons to the 3 compliant facilities are awaiting their first round of tests on Friday. Acting Chief Medical Officer Dr. Sean Charles appeals to establishments to follow the protocols, which he says will reduce the burden of anxiety that can be placed on the public.
It further drives home the point and the importance of businesses following the protocols and following the guidelines that are issued by the Ministry of Health. Because at the end of the day, they are designed to protect the population. In addition, the staff and the public in general are encouraged to follow the guidelines, follow the protocols that are outlined by the Ministry of Health, because it is in their interest so that when situations like this occurs, it will reduce the anxiety, because persons will not have to lose sleep wondering whether they were infected or not, because they were already following what was prescribed and what was outlined.
An important lesson learned following the breach was that although mandated by the ministry, a GPS device was not placed on the individuals, although all other protocols were followed. Installation and monitoring of the GPS device is being done by a third-party service provider, and Minister Steele says they will now review the service to ensure that it is either strengthened or determine whether they need to seek alternative means.
The other lesson here is that at some of the establishments where the protocols were followed, the risk of exposure to individuals has been minimum. But that one establishment was not following the protocols at that point in time, and therefore the risk of exposure is considered to be quite high. We do hope that none of the individuals in question have been exposed, but we have to take the necessary precautions and have adjusted accordingly to ensure as best as possible that this does not happen again.
Continuing the news, the government of Grenada has acquired a portion of land in the Soubise area in close proximity with the low-income housing settlement to create a playing field for the residents there. Parliamentary representative for the area, Honorable Yolande Bain Hosford, recently took the GIS on a site visit to the area to provide an update on the scope of work being undertaken.
Right there you have over 200 children running up and down. It's a hilly area, and it's not very comfortable for them to play, kids. But they carry on and they're running all over the place playing with each other. So we saw that very, very early, and we looked to acquire this property here. This is not owned by government. So it was acquired. We went through the process of acquiring it, and so we are here now trying to clear it so that we can put an adequate playing field for these youngsters to enjoy and to play.
Honorable Bain Hosford says despite the present economic challenges, government is committed to doing what it can to ensure that it meets the needs of the communities.
The first phase of this program is coming under the special project, the clearing. The second phase, we are searching for funds now, and in the budget we are putting for a third phase of the project. So I know it would cost over $100,000 to have this place in order. So we are searching for that now because we have to backfill. As you see, it's a swampy area. But I think at the end of the day, that would be a plus for the area because there is no space, there is no area near to here that they can recreate. The next place is the sea.
Claudius Pear of Pear's Trucking and Equipment Services was awarded the contract to clear the debris from the site. He explained what has been done to date.
What took care of this first phase, we cleared the place because he had a lot of long grass, and it was very difficult to see the condition of the land. So we clear that, and that's the first phase. And this is where we are now. It's completed. Second phase will be a leveling of this area. Also here we have to do some dumping there to bring up this thing to that height. See, we have some debris there which we have to take away, and this has to be dumped. You notice we have a mark this way and a mark down this way. So we have to get a level to get to those marks.
Honorable Bain Hosford says the facility, once completed, will be a tremendous benefit to the wellness of the community. This is the National Report. The news will continue after the break.
Protect yourself and our community from COVID-19. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. If soap and water are not available, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with at least 70% alcohol. Use a tissue when blowing your nose, sneezing, or coughing. Immediately discard the tissue properly and wash or sanitize your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Let's do our part to ensure that each and every Grenadian remains healthy. To stay up to date, visit the Government of Grenada's webpage or the Ministry of Health's Facebook page. For more information, contact the Ministry of Health's hotline by calling 53-VIRUS. This has been a public service announcement brought to you by the Ministry of Health.
Welcome back. Efforts to change the current structure of road traffic management and address the challenges facing the sector was supported by members of the Upper House on Tuesday. Minister for Transport Senator Norland Cox presented the Road Traffic Amendment Bill 2020, which seeks to change the way the sector is being managed by moving the Transport Board to a statutory board, the Grenada Transport Commission. The Commission will function under improved settings and will be responsible for advising the Minister on all matters pertaining to road transport and traffic, including transport rates, fares, dues, or other charges, and license duties, among others. Senator Cox says the amendment is the first in a series of changes to be made.
We have a number of engagements ranging regarding issues not limited to either bus routes, dealing with bus routes, bus fares, road safety, road condition, pollution, derelict vehicles, a number of issues ranging over a period of time which the public do normally discuss over and over. And this is, because of this backdrop, Mr. President, those are some of the issues that are facing the current structure of what governs the road authority or the transportation sector in Grenada currently.
Senator Cox explained that the current construct of the Transport Board has limitations, therefore making it impossible to properly manage the sector. He said now is the opportune time to make the necessary changes.
One of the things that we are recognizing, Mr. President, the sector is being bombarded by a number of opportunities. Currently, about 1/3 of our population is a representation of the amount of vehicles that we have in Grenada. So that gives you a picture of what we are facing. And with the current construct of the Transport Board, it presents itself with limitations for satisfactorily managing this sector in the best manner and presenting the opportunities or dealing with those opportunities as we move forward. And so we believe that the time is now for us to start making those logical adjustments so that this new Transport Commission will consume the current responsibilities and also add new responsibilities to the Commission going forward.
He said a transport study will be conducted to propose ways the sector can be enhanced. Finally, in the news, high-yield farming techniques at a new smart greenhouse facility being established at Lassages in St. David. Karima Lewis tells us more in this report.
On Tuesday, a sword-turning ceremony was held for start of the erection of the facility on the grounds of the Chinese demonstration farm at Lasages. Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Peter David, says greenhouse farming technology is the way to go to increase agriculture production and to bring greater profits to farmers.
This technology is the future of agriculture. I urge our farmers to use whatever technology is available to enhance our agricultural production.
The new facility is part of the expanding agricultural mission and a broadened program of assistance by the People's Republic of China. China's ambassador to Grenada is Dr. Zhao Yongchen.
The smarter greenhouse is part of the agriculture technical cooperation project phase 7 between our two countries. The smarter greenhouse is another endeavor by Chinese government to assist Grenada to restore agriculture production. Following a donation of the 1.2 billion EC dollar agriculture machinery and 17 sets of larger greenhouses.
Minister David praised China's assistance to agriculture in Grenada.
We speak a lot about encouraging youth to become involved in agriculture. We speak a lot about technology in agriculture. We speak a lot about the need, particularly in COVID, to advance agriculture. This is what we speak about when we speak about advancing agriculture. This greenhouse, as my brother Thompson indicated, is the first of its type in Grenada. This greenhouse has all of the automation necessary to ensure that we have production all year round. We are extremely happy in the Ministry of Agriculture to receive this.
Parliamentary Representative for St. David and Foreign Minister Honorable Oliver Joseph said the equipment will be of great advantage to Grenada's food security plan.
Our food input bill for 2019 was 350 million EC dollars.
Jesus.
For a country that is an agricultural country, we have to reduce this food input bill. And COVID has provided us with the opportunity to do just that. So the Minister of Agriculture, there's one committee looking at agriculture and farming in a sustained way, and he has the report. And as he indicated, we have to do the agriculture production in a planned way.
This greenhouse, when erected at the Chinese mission, will serve as a training spot where farmers can learn the mechanisms of a fully automated greenhouse, which would reflect crops grown in a fully controlled environment, free from pests and diseases interference, and the elements. This initiative forms part of the 7th phase of agricultural production between Grenada and the People's Republic of China. For the Ministry of Agriculture, I am Karima Lewis.
Thank you, Karima. That story just ended the national report for today, Wednesday, November 11th. Let's recap the top story. Ministry of Health's contact tracing efforts result in 38 being quarantined following recent protocol breach. On behalf of the entire news and production team here at the Government Information Service, I am Rikisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new national party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.